Hi everyone, so let me start by saying home stretch is my favorite word. And now let me present the last two topics for the semester. My first topic for today is regular expressions. So, what are regular expressions? They are a way to describe patterns in string data. They form a small, separate language that is part of JavaScript and many other languages and tools. Their syntax is cryptic, so not understanding them may prove to be disastrous rather than helpful. But it is really very powerful if you understand them. And now let's create regular expressions. There are two ways to create them. But first, we have to note that a regular expression is a type of object. The first way to create them is using the regex constructor. So looking at the first example here, let's set RU1 as a variable equals to new, followed by the constructor, and inside the parentheses, we put the string that we want to use. The second way to create them is by enclosing the literal value in / characters. So looking at the second example, let's set RE2 as a variable equals the value enclosed in /. Before diving into codes, let's discuss first the following items that make regular expressions more powerful. The first one is modifiers. Modifiers can be used to perform case-insensitive searches. For example, the modifier I perform case-insensitive matching, while the modifier G perform a global match. It means it finds all matches rather than stopping after the first match, while the modifier M perform multi-line matching. There are also regular expression patterns, where brackets are used to find a range of characters. For example, ABC inside brackets find any of the characters between the brackets, while 0 to 9 find any digits between the brackets. X line Y find any of the alternatives separated with the line. There are also quantifiers. Quantifiers define quantities. N plus matches any string that contains at least one n. N asterisk matches any string that contains 0 or more occurrences of n, while n question mark matches any string that contains 0 or 1 occurrence of n. And finally, there are meta characters. Meta characters are characters with a special meaning. For example, D finds a digit, while /s find a white space character. /b find a match at the beginning or at the end of a word. While /uxxx find Unicode characters specified by hexadecimal number. And now let's discuss 4 regular expressions method: test, replace, search, and exec. The first method that I'm going to discuss is test. Test tells us whether the regular expression matches and return true or false. For example, let's log the regular expression ed and test whether it's part of the string ednaling. So, because because it's part of the string, it will return true. While for this case, it will return false because it's not part of the string. Also, we can use pattern to find whether part of the regular expression matches the string. For example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 returns true because it's part of the string after 2,320 years. We can also simplify it by using a dash between 0 to 9 and test whether any of the digit also matches part of the string. Both will return true. While the replace method replaces part of the string with another string. For example, we want to log I can do this. By using the string I cannot do this. By using the replace method, we can substitute cannot with the word can. The search method returned the first index on which the expression was found. For example, with the string help, we want to log which index number is the letter P. So by using the search method, it will return 3. We have to remember that our index starts with 0. So the fourth letter will return 3. And lastly, the exec method searches a string for a specified pattern and returns the found text. If not found, it will return null. So for example, we want to log the regular expression 1 from the string life is wonderful. So if using the exec method, if it finds the 1 regular expression, it will return that regular expression in the console log. And that ends my discussion of regular expressions. Thank you. Remember that example Sergio Shan gave with our first assignment? At least for me, I used that to complete my first and second assignments. And that is what I will use to summarize this chapter. So looking at the assignments, what we use to test our code is a browser. So for this case, I use Chrome. What appears in the browser is a form. And it looks like this. What made the form possible is the HTML. And somehow, JavaScript make changes to the HTML form. To understand web browsers better, let's look at these terms. The internet is the connection of machines all over the world. This is computers talking to each other. But how this network of machines communicate? Network protocol does it. While a TCP or transmission control protocol ensures that the input we send to one another arrives at correct order and destination, the computer that listens is called the server, and the connecting to the internet is the client. The World Wide Web is a set of format and protocols that allows us to visit web pages. Using HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol, it allows other computers to request documents over the internet. And finally, web browsers are what we use to search, explore, and view these HTML documents. So what is HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language? HTML is a document format we use for web pages. It contains tags that give structure to the text. In this example, this part are called tags. They are identified by angle brackets, which are this. The tag that we want to pay special attention to is the script tag. Why? Because the script tag allows us to include JavaScript in an HTML document. So what does JavaScript does to HTML? First, JavaScript can change HTML styles or CSS. Using this example, we have a text in our HTML document that says, am I big or small? Using JavaScript, we can make the font bigger. And that's not all. JavaScript can change HTML document content. It can hide HTML elements. It can show HTML elements. And it can change HTML attributes. Let's now discuss forms in JavaScript. And now, using an example, let's discuss forms in JavaScript. Using HTML, we can create a form that asks for our name. And this form is inside the form tags. Launching this in our browser, we see the form. So what does JavaScript do? JavaScript alerts us that this field cannot be blank. So it's like a form of form validation. Based on the previous example, we see how JavaScript and HTML works together. But the question is, how is this all possible? This can be explained by DOM, or Document Object Model. Using HTML, the browser creates the document structure. It is called the Document Object Model. This is like nested boxes. On the screen is a tree of how it's structured. With DOM, JavaScript can be used to create dynamic HTML documents. So how do we connect the HTML with the JavaScript? This is done by using the Document Object Model, properties, and methods. A property is a value that you can get or set, while methods are actions that you can do. The most common way of doing this is using the document.getElementById, that inner HTML method. So just like in our previous assignments, this is what we use to connect HTML and JavaScript. The .getElementById is the method, while the inner HTML is the property. As you can see, the method getElementById is getting the ID from the HTML, and that connects the two. So that ends my discussion of the last two topics for principles in programming. And with this, I leave you with the word from Confucius that's in the first chapter of our resource book. Thank you.